Today, as we consider some wisdom from the book of Proverbs, we're going to be looking at Proverbs chapter 14, verse 34. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. It should be very evident to all of us that as we look at the world around us, our society has become, over the last several years, more corrupt, more sinful, more godless, more broken. We can all see that. And if you're watching this video as it's being released, we can look back at the events that have happened this week and we can see that on display. But even if you're watching this 6 months from now, or a year from now, or longer, more than likely, not much will have changed by that point. Society is still going to be broken. Society is still going to be corrupt. It's still going to be godless. Again, we're looking at overall as a whole. It's still going to be that way. And the problems that exist in our society, the reason why things are the way that they are, why our nation is corrupt, why sin is rampant, is because people have rejected God. They have gone into sin. And in this verse that we read, while it says that righteousness exalts a nation, it says sin is a disgrace or is a reproach to any people. And the problem is, while we who believe the Bible and believe what God has said recognize the shameful nature of sin, that sin is a disgrace, when people don't recognize that, when instead they see sin as being something that is something to be tolerated, something that is to be accepted, something that is to be celebrated, well, then sin is just going to continue. And society is going to become more corrupt and more godless and go further and further away from what is right. Now, how do you fix that? How can a society, when it's gotten that far, where sin that is a disgrace is instead celebrated and accepted, and that's the normal, how do you get society back? Well, it's not going to be by, we just have to elect the right people. That's not going to fix everything. Instead, the wise man said that righteousness exalts a nation. The only way society is fixed, the only way that things get better, is by people turning to God and following His Word and doing what He has instructed us to do. Because it is in the Word of God that we find the way of righteousness. That is the only way society gets fixed. Now, will that happen? Will our society be able to be turned around? Will people turn back to the Bible and realize that sin is to be thought as being shameful and turned away from? Or is our society going to continue down further and further down the course that it's going? Well, we don't know. We don't know what direction our society is going to go. But what we can do, knowing that righteousness exalts a nation, we need to make sure, number one, that we ourselves are following the path of righteousness, following what the Word of God says, and trying to be pleasing to Him and be the type of people that He wants us to be. But then after that, we need to be encouraging others to do the same. Encourage others to be righteous, to follow the way of God. And that could include pointing out how, look at all the problems that have come because of sin. There's a better way. And that may take convincing one person at a time, but we can start turning people to the better way. Because that's the only way things ever will improve. That's the only way things get better, is by people turning to God. So we see the corruption, we see the sin, we see the godlessness that exists around us, and we recognize it is a shameful thing and a disgraceful thing. The world often doesn't see it that way and just continues down that path. We need to be showing the example of righteousness and holding up the way of righteousness that is found in the Word of God. So no matter where our society is headed, no matter what conditions exist around us, let's remember the solution to all of the problems that exist. The solution is found in God, and He has shown us the way that we need to go. We need to follow it, and we need to point others to his way as well.